Average order value. This is by far my favorite thing. Everything we're going to talk about with upsells in this video is, to me, what is the most important piece of sustainable advertising. Now, when you're running a lower ticket product that you're selling for $30, $40, something in that range, it really becomes difficult to have long-term sustainability. Any slight fluctuation, the yearly and cyclical changes where as you go through the seasons, through the holidays, for an example, Q4, your advertising is more expensive. Anything like that can really create a profitability problem when it comes to your margin. So having a higher average order value and doing everything you can, no matter what your price point is going to make your advertising easier. And like I had already mentioned previously throughout this course, it will make your advertising better because you can have a higher cost per purchase while still maintaining the same or a better margin, and which that ultimately means you can outbid your customers. If you're able to spend more than somebody else, you can scale further, faster, and better. So the primary thing that we're doing to do this is we're setting up upsells. We want to sell more to customers that are already buying. That's the premise, okay? The primary app that I personally like to use for this is Candy Rack. I'm going to give you a second one that has a different type of upsell in a moment, but all you do is jump over to the Shopify App Store, throw on the word upsell. You're going to get to see a lot of different things. Frequently bought together is something I've tested. It is not something I currently use. This is going to give you more of the Amazon look. If we click this, it's where on Amazon you have, oh, it even says Amazon like. That's funny. But it's very true. Underneath the product on Amazon, it usually bundles 3 products. And with one click, you can add all of them. So it makes it a little bit more, in my opinion, difficult because instead of selecting one product, they have to usually take the bundle unless they click on it individually and go to each product. So you can go through here and see exactly what it looks like. You know, I have a video, a little breakdown the inside of that. But frequently bought together is a good one. If you jump back over here, you'll see a lot of others. I've used so many of these. There's a lot of different ones, a lot of good ones. Candy Rack is a personal favorite of mine. Now, the reason for that, okay, we're going to jump into this here in a moment. Let me pull this down. What I like about it, clean. It's very clean, modern. It really just looks good for a brand. Everything else is a little bit more, just in my opinion, everybody has a different opinion, a little more spammy, a little more pop-up. Like you wouldn't expect the real company, a brand, to have that. It's just a little more like internet salesy, if you will. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but I'll show you an example here in a moment. Also, it works the best, in my opinion, when you have multiple upsell options. So if you're trying to offer 2 or 3 products and not kind of force people to bundle them together, Candy Rack is an absolutely fantastic option for that. It's also super cost effective, 14-day trial, all that stuff. But it makes it really, really easy to use. And in my opinion, their little drop-down menu like that it has for all the different products, once you're actually inside the app, it looks so, so good. And we'll even click this here. Let's mute it real fast, and they should show us an example of what it looks like. So that's how you set it up. They'll show you in the back end. And right here is where we see it, okay? I'm going to pause it. You see this? This is your primary product right here, and then you have these 3 drop downs. So it looks perfect for 2 to 3 options. And not to jump into too much detail, I'll give you a reference point here in a moment. I don't personally like to have more than 3 upsell options. I haven't seen any added value because of it. So Candy Rack, absolutely fantastic app. Let me give you an example here. This is a screenshot I took as of when I'm filming this today from a store of mine. So far in the last 30 days, okay, the store has done $35,000 in sales. Now it's 4,400 of that was through the upsell app Candy Rack. So I'm getting over a 6% take rate. So over 6% of the time people take the upsell, but it has added about 13%, maybe even a little more, of the total revenue. Think about that for a second. This is adding 13 to 15% on top. And those products that I'm upselling, I'll tell you what I do on the structure of them, they don't have a lot of cost associated. One of them has 0 product cost, and the other ones, I have no new advertising cost. So the only cost is fulfilling the product. So if I sell it for 25 and give them a little discount, and I'm only paying 9 to fulfill it, there's a huge disparity there and a big difference, which adds a lot to your margin, as you can see. So that's what it looks like. Now, let me give you kind of the framework, how I structure it. So depending on what you're doing, you'll test, you'll play around these variables, but this is what I do every single time, okay? Like I said, 2 to 3 seems to be the sweet spot. That reference resource that I mentioned, if you want to study the science behind it, use The Paradox of Choice. It's a really good book by Barry Schwartz. I've read it multiple times. It breaks down how more isn't always better, but in what situations it could make sense. It talks about the optimal points. And so it was one of the first real like marketing psychology books that I read. And it applies to a lot of things, but it helped me alter my upsells. And I've used this framework for a long time. So this is how I do it. My first offer, one product, one offer on the upsell app is going to be a much lower priced product. Ideally, 0 CTF, which stands for cost to fulfill. So let me give you an example. If I'm selling let's say I'm selling a light, right? It's a light. Lights can break, right? So I'm going to sell a warranty, a 1 or a 2 year warranty for that light for usually about 10% of the price. So my first product, super cheap, about 10% roughly. I want to offer something that doesn't technically cost me anything. So if you offer a 1 year warranty and anybody reaches out who bought the warranty, you're going to automatically replace it, no questions asked. Now, personally, I do that anyways. So it's really easy for me to do that and offer a warranty of some kind. It's something that converts extremely well depending on the product. If you're selling a basketball, probably not as much. People might not need the warranty, but who knows? I haven't tested a basketball. But it just depends on the product. More so like electronics and things that can break, you'll definitely see that, but about 10%. Another good rule of thumb, by the way, is to charge 10% for shipping. That's something I do once the product's working. So roughly 10%, $3, $4, $5, something in that range. So $3 to $5 is usually what my initial product for the upsell is going to be, and that is no cost to fulfill. The next one is if it's applicable, it's gonna be the same exact product, but on a discount. About 15 to 20% I've found is my ideal upsell discount. Beyond that, and I just put it in here so that you know, beyond that, I didn't really see any added benefit, but I did get less margin. So it's just one of those things that I noticed that definitely played a big role. So if I can, I'll upsell the same product just at a further discount. So if they're buying something for 30, I'll sell them another one of the same thing for 25. Again, if applicable. People don't need two of a lot of things. So if not, I try to find something that's also around that price point that's really similar that could go with it. Just like how someone would buy an iPhone and then Apple is going to upsell you on a phone case, a charger, a wireless charger, different things, a warranty plan. They do the same model. It's the same thing. Okay. And then a third, if applicable, I don't always have to have this. It just depends. I usually want something that's a higher price product. This doesn't get a great take rate. Not a lot of people take it, but when they do, it's, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90. So even if, 1% of people take it, it does add something, because if you do the simple math on that and it's, $80 and 1% take it, that's 80 cents, give or take, like my math is right there, being added on to every order. And that makes a big difference when you do that and you pair it with your other upsells. I'm looking for every dollar push that I can get. So, another app resource that you can look at is Aftersell. It's a great post-purchase upsell, which is a little different. The Candy Rack gets added on when they're actually clicking add to cart. So it's a little different versus a post-purchase, where once they've already completed their order, filled out the payment, submitted it, then they get offered more products. Now, if you're using an outside payment processor, which would basically mean you're not using Stripe, Shopify Payments, or PayPal, which is totally fine. You can use whatever you want. And Stripe, Shopify Payments, PayPal, those aren't real payment processors. Those are called payment aggregators. I can talk about that in a bonus video. So you might eventually need to get a real merchant through a bank. One thing to note is that unless you're using Shopify Payments, Stripe, or PayPal, you cannot do this. It will not work on Shopify with the post-purchase upsell. So at one point when I was using, I'll just put it out there, when I was using a different checkout page, I would host my store on Shopify. I would redirect the cart outside of Shopify to a separate checkout page that we built, and then I could have separate post-purchase one-click upsells from there. So that's getting a little off topic in this video, but upsells in general, absolutely fantastic. My favorite way to increase the average order value. Go check out all the different apps. Candy Rack is by far my favorite. Again, not being paid to say that, just a fantastic resource, and it's what I use on every single one of my stores, no exception. So definitely check it out. You can also have multiple apps on there if you want to add, a post-purchase and the add to cart. You can totally do that. Again, test, play around, go see which one you like best, but definitely take a look at Candy Rack, and that is how I structure things. That's the framework and a prime example of the take rate and the success that it can have. Sometimes, I'll see much higher. Sometimes it's lower. It just depends on the product, the offer. Some things are more difficult to upsell. Sometimes people aren't really, there's not something they could buy. It just depends on what you're selling. Sometimes it's easier to upsell products than other times. So it just depends. But yeah, that's how we structure the upsells to boost the average order value.